is also here. And judge number 3 is Mr. Selassie. Is also here as a judge. Our timekeeper this morning is none other than Mr. Solomon Owusu Eje. Is also here. Now I will introduce Thank you. I'll introduce because it's only Gomwa Senior High and Apam Senior High, we shall do both sides of the motion. They will debate both sides of the motion. So we are going to have 2 contests. In contest number 1, Gomwa Senior High will speak for the motion, and Apam Senior High will speak against the motion. And in contest number 2, Gomwa Senior High will speak against the motion, and Apam Senior High will speak for the motion. After that, the judges will put together all their marks for the 2 contests and declare a winner. Now, for Gomwa Senior High School, who will be speaking for the motion in contest number 1? The principal speaker is in the person of Miriam Awotwe. If you are here, come and take your seats. I can't hear the applause. I cannot hear the applause at all. Miriam Awotwe. The second supporting speaker is none other than Jessica Eiram Nyazi. Jessica Eiram Nyazi. And the summarizer for Gomwa Senior High in contest number 1 is Bevelin Beidu. Bevelin Beidu. Let's give it up to them. For Apam Senior High, they are speaking against the motion in contest number 1. The principal speaker is Miss Claudia Osai. Let's applaud Claudia as she comes. The first supporting speaker is Francisca Gorman. Francisca Gorman will join soon. And the summarizer is Grace Mensah. Grace Mensah, Apam Senior High. I tell you, it's not going to be an easy contest. Grace Mensah, Francisca Gorman. I don't think she's a Ghanaian. Is she a Ghanaian? Okay. Now, before the judges throw more light on the rules of contest, I will let the chairman address us. With a round of applause, let us welcome Mr. Chairman.
Hello. Hello. Are we excited? We thank God. All right, because of the natural incident that we cannot control in our human nature, we have to be very brief. And if we have to be very brief, we also need your maximum cooperation to ensure that we enjoy success. Good afternoon to all of you. All protocols observed. Ladies and gentlemen, I am highly pleased to welcome you to this afternoon's program. It is both an honor and a very great responsibility for me to assume the office as the chairman for Gomwa Senior High Technical School 2024 SRC Weeks. I deem it to be a friendly match, and that is a debate competition between Gomwa Senior High Technical School and Great Apas. The motion before the House this afternoon is: colonialism was a crime against humanity. Our able judges have been introduced. The timekeeper has been introduced. But for every game to start and end successfully, the rudiment of such a game should be mentioned or told. Each participant will have a time to argue out his or her point. But regards to this, we have the main speaker, whether for or against the motion, to use a maximum of 7 minutes. Within 7 minutes, when you exhaust the first 6 minutes, the bell shall be sounded for you to be on the alert. 6 minutes, 30 seconds, the bell shall be sounded again for you to finish up. The first supporting speaker will also use a maximum of 5 minutes. And then the summarizer would use 3 minutes. Please, participants or speakers, I would want to reiterate the fact that the House will not entertain any challenging and offensive statement, especially when you are arguing out your point. No heckling, no sarcastic remarks from you. The House will not entertain that. And so therefore, I entreat all of you to stay away from any statement or comment that will offend another person. We hope, and we have the strongest belief in our Creator, that the debate competition will come to an end in a very successful way. Again, I entreat you to give us your maximum support to ensure that this activity ends and ends well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We shall quickly hear from the Chief Adjudicator.
All right, thank you very much. Good afternoon to all of us. And just as the chairman said, I think I will not have to go back to talk about most of the things that have been mentioned already. But as the debate starts, let's take notes of these rules of the game. For scoring, we are looking at confidence, delivery, arrangement of points, your expression, your content, your rebuttal, and also the evidence that you give out. So this will be our scoring point. Therefore, we expect all speakers to adhere to these. Just as the chairman said, take out remarks that are quite provocative, and also unsavory words should be minimal. Let's stick to the game. Let's stick to the context of competition. And at the end, may the best school. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Adjudicator. I am reminding you once again that this program is beaming live on MPTV and also on High School TV, High School Plug TV. Let's take note. So we expect us to comport ourselves. Okay. Now, the motion for debate this afternoon is colonialism was a crime to humanity. Colonialism was a crime to humanity. In this contest, the host school, Gomwa Senior High Technical School, they are to my extreme left and they are going to speak for the motion. Then the guest school, Apam Senior High, are to my extreme right and they are speaking against the motion. Just like the chairman said, the principal speakers have 7 minutes. The supporting speakers have 5 and 3 minutes respectively. Without wasting much time, I will invite the principal speaker, Gomua Senior High Technical School, to come and do her submission.
Seven years ago, Emmanuel Macron, the French president, described colonialism as a crime against humanity during a visit to Algeria. Mr. Macron said, and I quote, "Colonization is a crime. It's a crime against humanity. It's truly barbarous, and it's part of the past we need to confront by apologizing to those against whom we committed these acts." Unquote. The chairperson, impartial panel of judges, all protocols duly observed. My name is Mariam Aotre, the principal speaker of Gomua Senior High Technical School debate team, speaking in affirmation of the motion that, quote and unquote, colonialism was a crime against humanity. After my delivery comes the first supporting speaker, then the last speaker to close our argument for the motion. The chair, I crave your indulgence to explain the key terms in the motion. First, colonialism. According to Peter Eke, a Nigerian sociologist and lecturer, colonialism is a power system that subverts, destroys, reinvents, appropriates, and replaces anything that gets in the way of colonial dominance and exploitation. Next is crime. The Oxford Dictionary describes crime as an action or omission which constitutes an offense and is punishable by law. Last but not least, humanity. The Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines humanity as human race, which constitutes everyone on earth. The motion simply means that colonialism was an action which offended humans and therefore punishable. Once again, my team and I affirm the motion based on the advanced undisputable argument we are going to expound. Panel of judges, in my delivery, I would be expounding the following arguments. 1. Colonialism exploited the resources of the colonized. 2. Colonialism enslaved Africans. 3. Colonialism led to loss of identity and forced dispersal. 4. Colonialism led to human rights abuses. Now, to my first argument. Colonialism exploited the resources of the colonized. The chair, colonialism, without doubt, was a crime against humanity, particularly to Africans due to the excessive exploitation of African natural resources for the selfish gain of the colonizers. The chair, the systematic plundering of resources in the colonized territories like Gold Coast, Senegal, Nigeria, and Sierra Leone had devastating consequences for the indigenous population, which continues to impact Africans to this day. The colonial powers extracted vast amounts of resources in the colonies to fuel their own industrial and economic growth. It extracted about 2,000 tons of gold from the Gold Coast during the colonial era. This is thievery, robbery, and to say the least, an act of extortion, and therefore criminal. Today, I can say without fear of contradiction that most of the colonial powers like Britain, France, Belgium, and Germany built their economies from the treasures of the colonies in Africa and America and robbed us of our precious possessions, all in the name of colonialism. The chair, it is heartwarming that London or Britain, for example, have realized these crimes and have decided to return the looted artifacts they took from the Ashantis. The chair see this as an evidence from BBC News. With the caption, UK returned the looted artifacts from Ghana after 150 years. Now, to my second argument, colonialism enslaved Africans. According to Alexander Bartlett, a historian from the Department of Art History and Archaeology in Columbia University, the number of slaves imported across the Atlantic Ocean steadily increased from approximately 5,000 slaves a year in the 16th century to over 100,000 slaves a year by the end of the 18th century, when colonialism was at its peak. Ghana became a major hub in the transatlantic trade, and estimated 77 million African people shipped off like cargoes to the Caribbean and the Americas. The chair, I tender in an evidence. Our visit to the Cape Coast and Elmina castles showed that approximately 2 million enslaved Africans perished from the brutal, inhuman conditions in the transatlantic voyage. How on earth is this not a crime against humanity? I believe our opponents have conscience. The chair, I am saying that colonialism solidified slavery and commodified Africans, treating them as mere properties to be bought and sold. And this is a crime against humanity. Now, to my third argument. Colonialism led to loss of identity and forced dispersal. The chair, the impact of colonialism on African societies. The chair, the impact of colonialism on African societies was profound and devastating, leading to the erosion of cultural identities and forced displacement of millions of people. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to state emphatically that the policy of assimilation, which was adopted by the French in their colonies, which included the imposition of language, religion, and the alien cultural norms on African populations, was an offense against religion, was an offense against Africans. The chair, the forced dispersal of Africans as a result of colonial policies, further exacerbated of the lost identity. Millions of Africans were forcibly removed from their homes and transported to distant lands where they were subjected to inhuman treatment and exploitation. The chair, panel of judges, ladies and gentlemen, permits me to end my delivery by recalling the words of the French president, Emmanuel Macron, quote and unquote, colonization is a crime. It's a crime against humanity. It's truly barbarous, and it's part of the past we need to confront by apologizing to those against whom we committed these acts. Unquote. Ladies and gentlemen, based on these words, we hope we have you on our side. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We shall listen to the principal speaker against the motion, Apam Senior High.
Nelson Mandela, a freedom fighter and the first president of the Republic of South Africa, stated in one of his famous quotes, and I quote, colonialism facilitated the exchange of ideas and knowledge, leading to cultural enrichment and cross-cultural understanding, unquote. The chair, panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, co-debaters, fellow students, ladies and gentlemen, greetings. The motion before this august house is colonialism was a crime against humanity. I am Osan Claudia Nanaya, a proud representative of Apam Senior High School and the principal speaker, speaking vehemently against the motion. The chair, before I begin, I would like to explain some key terms to the motion set before the House. Colonialism, according to the Oxford Advanced Knowledge Dictionary, means taking control of another country or state. The same source explains crime as anything illegal and punishable by law. The chair, before I begin, I would like to clear some dust that my opponent has thrown into the eyes of the chair and all the House. My opponents came here saying that colonialism brought about human rights abuse. But my opponents, I would like to ask you, are you trying to say that in today's recent independence world, there's nothing like human rights abuse going on? People are working as maids and gatemen in other kinds of countries, and they are going through different kinds of human rights abuse. And you say colonialism brought about human rights abuse? I will leave that for you to answer. But again, the opponent said that colonialism brought about loss of identity. My opponents, are you trying to tell us that in today's independence, there's nothing like loss of identity? Have you lost your identity? No. Can you have their identity? Nobody in the world has losses of identity due to colonialism. The chair, below are some cogent points that I will use to buttress my standards. Colonialism was never a crime against humanity. Again, the chair, colonialism brought about infrastructural development in colonized territories. Colonialism all over the world saw a massive improvement in infrastructure. Schools, hospitals, and other social amenities were built for the benefit of such places. This is a clear example of what I'm trying to say. The chair in the house. Missionary schools like the Tetekwashi Memorial School and missionary schools like the Infant School and missionary hospitals like the Tetekwashi Memorial Hospital were built for the benefit of these people and are still serving the people of Ghana today. Railway development during the time of colonialism are unmatched today. The roads connecting the various cities all began during the time of colonialism until a recent seat of government was built. The Christianborg Castle of Osu, which was built by these colonial masters, served as a seat of government for so many years. No wonder some people are in the view that our freedom fighters should have had patience for us to enjoy major developmental projects like South Africa and Barbados. This satisfies to the fact that colonialism was never a crime against humanity. Again, the chair, colonialism brought about enhanced education. If there's anything colonized states can thank our colonial masters for, that is the introduction of formal education. This is a clear example of what I'm trying to say. My opponents, I would like to ask you, without the introduction of formal education, how would you be sitting here to debate on this beautiful motion? Ironically, all over the world, founding fathers of the various colonized states had to go through formal education to gain knowledge in their fight for emancipation. It is the languages of these colonial masters that gave voices to the various peoples of the various colonized states in their bid for independence. Without the introduction of formal education, Africa and most parts of the world would have been miles and miles behind modernity and sustainable development. I would like to quote His Excellency John Ejekum Kufuor, the former president of Ghana, and I quote, "The colonial masters introduced formal education, which enabled us to compete globally," unquote. The chair, this shows that colonialism was never a crime against humanity. Again, the chair in the house, colonialism brought about enhanced cultural, exchange of culture. Due to colonialism, there were exchange of culture between the colonized and the colonizers. This mutual interaction brought about the exchange of rich cultural heritage between these groups. In some areas, the colonizers were the first to learn the languages of the colonized and documented most of these languages. Due to formal education, the colonized were able to learn the languages of the colonizers and adapted to their ways of life. This is a clear example of what I'm trying to say. Just look at how this beautiful interaction is. And my opponent is saying colonialism was a crime against humanity. I'll leave that for you to answer. Again, the chair in the house, colonialism brought about economic development and growth. It improved intra and intercontinental trade relations among the countries. Raw materials were bought and shipped from colonized areas to advanced countries like what is being done in the world today. This is a graph showing improvements in our economic development. Colonized states, in exchange of these raw materials, had a lot of foreign exchange, which they used to provide their states with infrastructural development. Raw materials which were not discovered were discovered for the first time in the time of colonialism. Raw materials like gold, diamond, bauxite, which couldn't be extracted with the indigenous crude tools, were extracted in commercial quantities due to the introduction of technology and machines. This shows that colonialism was never a crime against humanity because it brought a lot of benefits to colonized areas. The House, I would like to end my arguments by stating Sir Winston Churchill, a former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, and I quote, "Colonialism brought education, modern infrastructure, and healthcare to many colonized regions," unquote. The chair, panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, co-debaters, fellow students, ladies and gentlemen, I am hopeful that with this cogent point raised and duly expatiated by me, I've been able to convince you, the chair, and my already defeated opponents to rally strongly behind the winning team against the motion, colonialism was a crime against humanity. Thank you, merci beaucoup. The uses of these beautiful languages show that colonialism was never a crime against humanity, but rather a beautiful blessing in disguise. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Principal Speaker Apam Senior High. We shall take the supporting speakers and we invite the first supporting speaker for the motion, Gomoa Senior High, Jessica Eram Nyaji, to do her presentation.
Wo Soyinka, a renowned Nigerian poet, once said, and I quote, colonialism was a crime against the soul of a nation, unquote. The chairperson, impartial jury, all protocols duly observed. My name is Jessica Nyaji, first supporting speaker of the Gomwa Senior High Technical School debate team, speaking in affirmation of the motion that, I quote, colonialism was a crime against humanity, unquote. The chairperson, I affirm all that my principal speaker had said, and I proceed to advance new arguments. In my delivery, I would be expounding the following arguments. 1. Colonialism perpetuated systems of racial and cultural superiority. 2. Colonialism led to deforestation, pollution, and destruction of the natural environment. 3. Colonialism led to denial of self-determination. Now, to our fifth argument. Colonialism perpetuated systems of racial and cultural superiority. The chair, it is no hidden secret that European colonizers viewed indigenous population as inferior and barbaric, justifying their oppressive action through racist ideology. The apartheid system in South Africa and the history of racial segregation in America are evidence to back our claim that colonialism was indeed a crime against humanity. In South Africa, for example, the white minority government institutionalized racial segregation and discrimination against the black majority population. Blacks were subjected to forced removals, restricted access to education and healthcare, and limited economic opportunities based on their race. The Jim Crow law, which enforced racial segregation and discrimination in the United States, institutionalized racial hierarchy and denied African Americans basic civil rights and freedoms. The ideologies of racial and cultural superiority that underpin colonialism have had far-reaching consequences for both the dignity, rights, and well-being of marginalized communities. In his autobiography, Long Walk to Freedom, Nelson Mandela of South Africa recounts his struggle against the apartheid and the enduring legacy of racial injustice. It is against this background that I dare to say that colonialism was indeed a crime against humanity. Now, to our set argument, colonialism led to deforestation, pollution, and destruction of the natural environment. The environmental degradation that the colonial powers embarked on in their effort to exploit any available resources can be viewed as a crime against humanity, as it has had far-reaching consequences for both the present and the future generation. As seemed judged during the colonial period, European colonizers extracted resources such as timber, minerals, and agricultural products from colonized territories without regard for sustainability or environmental impact. This has disrupted the ecosystem, threatening biodiversity. Source: Ecological Imperialism, The Biological Expansion of Europe by Alfred W. Crosby. Ladies and gentlemen, these acts orchestrated by the colonialists have not only destroyed the vital habitat for plant and animal species only, but also contributed to climate change, and this constitutes crime against humanity. Now, to our final argument. Colonialism led to denial of self-determination. Colonialism imposed foreign legal systems on African systems and also perpetuated systems of oppression and exploitation that denied Africans the right to determine their own destinies. Ladies and gentlemen, the denial of African by European colonizers the right to determination and imposition of foreign laws which undermine the autonomy and sovereignty of Africans is a crime. Ladies and gentlemen, the denial of Africans by the European colonizers, which undermine the autonomy and sovereignty of Africans, is a crime. In the Gold Coast, for instance, there was the suppression of indigenous governance as chiefs were relegated to the background and become agents for the implementation of obnoxious colonial policies. Now, rebuttals. 1. Our opponents argue that colonialism brought infrastructure development. That argument by our opponents is incorrect. I want to tell our opponent that all the infrastructure built by the colonizers were designed to benefit them rather than the local people. For example, railways and roads were constructed just to facilitate the extraction of our resources and the transportation of goods rather than to improve the lives of the local people. Again, our opponents argue that colonialism brought formal education and literacy. I want to tell our opponent that The formal education introduced by the colonizers only served to improve that indoctrinate the colonized people. The chair, ladies and gentlemen, based on the validity of arguments, we have you on our side. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We can do it for her. Thank you. We shall take the supporting speaker against the motion, Apam Senior High. Let's applaud her as she comes. Apam Senior High, first supporting speaker.
David Lanz, a professor of the Harvard University, once said, and I quote, "The world has benefited greatly from the spread of ideas, technology, and industries from the use of colonialism." The chair, panel of judges, our great timekeeper, co-debaters, fellow students, ladies and gentlemen, greetings. The motion before this august house is colonialism was a crime against humanity. My name is Francisco Gorman, a proud representative of Apam Senior High School, and the first supporting speaker, speaking vehemently against the motion. The chair, before I begin, allow me to clear some fallacious views my opponents threw in our eyes. One, the chair, my opponents asserted that colonialism brought about exploitation of resources. That is nothing but a complete fallacy. The chair, God in his own wisdom, gave different parts of the nations different resources to create interdependence among nations. Our colonial masters only sent what we had in exchange of what we did not have. For example, during the colonial era, we were endowed with resources like gold and timber, but we did not have oil, which other oil nations had. So our colonial masters only sent these resources we had to give us resources we did not have. That's the saying goes, exchange is not robbery. Wouldn't it be fair enough for us to exchange what we have for what we do not have? Why then does my opponent say colonialism is a crime because of this worthy cause? Again, the chair, my opponent said that colonialism brought about destruction of our resources and deforestation. That is nothing but a complete fallacy. During our stay in the country, weren't we cutting down trees? Weren't we doing things that spoils the nature? Why are you then saying that colonialism came about and brought about destruction in our nature? Nothing about what you are saying is true. Now that I've been able to clear my opponent's fallacious view, allow me to state my stance on why I think colonialism was never and shall never be a crime against humanity. One, colonialism was not a crime against humanity because it brought about improvements in our healthcare delivery. Gone were the days when most diseases were attributed to gods and curses in the pre-colonial era. The advent of the colonial masters into most areas brought about modern and advanced research into plant medicine. This method stopped the mass killing of people in most areas. As the saying goes, research helps us in our health. Most diseases that needed scientific methods and hospital apparatus to detect killed thousands of people before the advent of colonialism, thanks to our colonial masters. Today, it is no longer the case. You and I can go for medical examinations to detect hidden ailments that have the potential to take one's life. Again, the chair, colonialism was not a crime against humanity because it brought many colonized areas together as a sovereign state. Before colonialism, most areas were made of distinct ethnic groups with associated culture. Many of these organized groups did not want to be influenced by the other. As a result, they engaged in fierce and bloody battles that claimed the lives of many people. Today, it is no longer the case, as our colonial masters have taught us to come together to fight for a common goal. Many may say that colonialism separated us, but I may not say that, because everybody, regardless of where the person is from, is able to be called a citizen of the country and enjoy equal rights under the law. Again, the chair, colonialism was never and shall never be a crime against humanity because it brought many colonized countries together as one people. Before colonialism, European colonial masters had many colonies spread across the world. For example, the British colonies, which are all part of the Commonwealth, are shown off the screen, shared many bilateral and multilateral relationships in many ways. These relationships that this country shared benefited them in many ways, like education, economy, sports, and many more. My opponents, are you trying to tell the House that without colonialism, we, these countries, would have been left alone? Yes, with colonialism, these countries countries have been able to enjoy healthy interdependence amongst others. And now we are able to go for help from other countries to benefit the nation. The chair, panel of judges, our great timekeeper, co-debaters, fellow students, ladies and gentlemen, with this cogent points raised and duly explained by me, I hope I have been able to call on the chair and the whole house to rally behind the winning team, that colonialism was never and shall never be a crime against humanity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Apam Senior High. We shall now take the summaries from both sides, and to do that, we invite Gomwa Senior High, second supporting speaker, to come and do their summary.
John Makandi, a South Asia historian, once said, and I quote, "It takes a highly selective misreading of the evidence to claim that colonialism was anything other than humanitarian disaster for most of the colonized," unquote. The chairperson, impartial panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, colleague debaters, fellow students, ladies and gentlemen. A beautiful presentation, they say, deserves a beautiful summary. That is why I, Bevelyn Baidu, of the Gomoa Senior High Technical School debate team, mount this stage to give a brief summary on the clear evidence my team has raised to buttress our arguments. The chair, these are the points we have raised in support of the motion. 1. Colonialism led to exploitation of natural and human resources of the colonized regions. 2. Colonialism led to the enslavement of millions of Africans, most of whom were subjected to brutal, inhuman treatments. 3. Colonialism led to loss of identity and forced dispersal of Africans. 4. Colonialism resulted in many instances of violence and atrocities against humanity. 5. Colonialism perpetrated a system of racial and cultural superiority as was practiced in apartheid South Africa. 6. Colonialism resulted in deforestation, pollution and destruction of natural environments of the colonized regions. 7. Colonialism resulted in the denial of self-determination as colonial governments imposed foreign legal system on Africans. The chair, panel of judges, ladies and gentlemen, with no doubt, I will return to my seat with high assurance that we've gotten this mental gymnastic exercise in the bag. This statement of Bob Marley keeps ringing in my ears. Quote, "Who the crown fits, let them wear it." Unquote. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We take the summarizer, Apam Senior High.
A Canadian actor, once said, and I quote, "Colonialism has a bad reputation in the modern context, but colonial Africa was a far better place for both the black and the white before the colonies gave up." Unquote. The chair, panel of judges, our great timekeeper, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I respond to the name Grace Adjoa-Kwamensa, a proud representative of the Apam Senior High School. The second supporting speaker, speaking against the motion, "Colonialism was a crime against humanity." The chair, below are the points raised and duly expatiated by my team to reject the motion. Colonialism was a crime against humanity. 1. Colonialism united us as one sovereign state. 2. Colonialism brought about the abolishment of inhuman practices. 3. Colonialism brought about the introduction of formal education. 4. It connected all colonized states to the world. 5. Colonialism brought about modernity and technology. 6. Colonialism brought about improvement in our economic activities. 7. Colonialism brought about improvement in our healthcare delivery. 8. Colonialism brought about advanced civilization. 9. Colonialism brought about cultural exchange. Lastly, the chair, colonialism brought about infrastructural development. The chair, panel of judges, for the above point raised and duly expatiated by my team, clearly shows that colonialism was never a crime and can never be a crime against humanity. The chair in the house, why don't you all rally with my team as we kick the motion? Colonialism was a crime against humanity. Let us not behave like the proverbial ostrich that buries its head in the sun and refuses to accept reality. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let us give it up to all the contestants in this first battle. Wow. We are learning, aren't we? Are we learning? That is what this exercise is all about. We are here to learn. And I'm sure if not learned anything at all, you've learned one word. Let's applaud them one more time. So contest number 1 has ended. Gomwa Senior High spoke for the motion. Apam Senior High spoke against the motion. We thank you so much, contestants. You can resume your seats. Thank you. Let's applaud them as they take their seats. We shall go straight into contest number 2. In contest number 2, Apam Senior High shall be seated at my extreme left. They will speak for the motion. And to do that, let's welcome Joy, Naki, Mabel. Joy, Naki, Mabel. Principal Speaker Apam for the motion. We have Lukman Nanaya Kwanza, first supporting speaker for the motion. Lukman Nanaya Kwanza. Nanaya is a famous name here. He's very familiar. We know him very well here. And the summarizer is Philipstar Dazi. Philipstar Dazi. Wow. Then for the Gomwa Senior High Technical School team, they will be seated at my extreme right and they will speak against the motion. The principal speaker is Precious Osei Precious. She will be supported by Fatu Wad. Fatu Wad. And the third speaker is Sheila Kokroko. Sheila Kokroko. Thank you very much. It's been a very wonderful exercise. Let's see how this one also goes. I'm sure the judges will have a very tough time here today. So the rules remain the same. Principal speakers 7, supporting speakers 5, and summarizers 3. When you've done 6 minutes, 30 seconds, the bell goes. Then 7th minute, the bell will be sounded. Then the supporting speakers, when you've done 4 minutes, 30 seconds, the bell will go. And 5 minutes, the bell will be sounded. Then the summarizers, when you have done 2 minutes, 30 seconds, the bell will go. And 3 minutes, the bell will be sounded. After that, the judges will put together all the scores and they will declare a winner. Because Apam is speaking for the motion, I will invite the principal speaker to come. The motion still remains: colonialism was a crime against humanity. Apam Senior High, the stage is yours.
Patrice Lumumba, the first president of the Democratic Republic of Congo, once said, and I quote, "These divisions which our colonial powers have always exploited to better dominate us have played an important role and are still playing that role in the suicide of Africa." Unquote. The chair, panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, co-debaters, ladies and gentlemen, greetings. The motion before this august house is colonialism was a crime against humanity. Representing Apam Senior High School as the principal speaker is Joy Naki Mabel, speaking vehemently for the motion. The chair, before I continue, I would like to explain some key terms in the motion set before the House. Colonialism, according to the Longman Dictionary of Contemporary English, is the practice of a country to take full or partial control of another country, occupying it with settlers to profit its income and economy. The same source explains crime as something done illegally and punishable by law. The chair, now that I'm done explaining these terms, I would like to continue by raising points to buttress my stance that colonialism was indeed a crime against humanity. The chair, colonialism was a crime against humanity because it led to the divisions and ethnic tensions. The chair, colonialism all over the world instigated hatred among people who should have lived harmoniously with one sense of purpose. Colonial masters often faced stiff opposition from people they intended to colonize. The chair, these expatriates who came in with diabolic intentions managed in instigating one tribe against the other. For instance, in Ghana, the Ashantis were a formidable, well-organized group. It took the British colonial administration to convince the southern states to sign some peace treaties. The most prominent one, the Bond of 1844. This led to the mobilization of an army which they carried along everywhere to fight many wars of conquest. The Ashantis engaged the Fantis in many bloody battles because they thought they made an alliance with the Europeans against them. This is an evidence to state what I'm saying. My opponent, how then can you say colonialism was not a crime against humanity when it was a divisive tool? Secondly, the chair in the house, colonialism led to systematic exploitation of resources in the colonized states. The chair, according to a news cited by Al Jazeera on 6th May 2021, colonial powers drained resources worth 152 trillion US dollars from the colonized states since the 1960s. Colonial powers have always scavenged natural resources like gold, diamond, bauxite, iron ore, to mention but a few. No wonder they named these colonized states after the resources they could easily lay their hands on whenever they explored. Gold Coast for abundance of gold, Ivory Coast for plenty ivory, Argentina for plenty silver. The chair, another evidence to prove what I'm saying. The chair in the house, I would like to ask, do you know how many elephants were killed to get this amount of ivory? I leave it for you to guess. My opponents, do you still agree to the fact that colonialism is a crime against humanity? Thirdly, the chair in the house, colonialism led to political instability in the colonized areas. Colonial powers such as the Europe and Asia used artificial geopolitical boundaries to demarcate territorial boundaries which were not in their jurisdiction. For example, the chair in Berlin, a conference was held in 1884. European countries divided African countries among themselves and still fought with each other. As a result, wars breaks, many lives were claimed and many resources were destroyed. The chair in the house, according to globalhistory.uk, about 1,500 African soldiers died because they fought in World War II with the British. And this fight was something that did not concern Africa. The chair, someone may ask, what was their crime? The house, what was their crime? Their only crime was to be under the colony of British. My opponents, do you still fail to accept the fact that colonialism was a crime against humanity? I'm completely lost of words. George Orwell, an English poet, once stated, and I quote, the most effective way to destroy people is to destroy and obliterate their own understanding of their history, unquote. This brings me to my fourth point, the chair. Colonialism led to loss of identity and cultural heritage. The chair, customs and traditions differ from one to another. Colonial masters underestimated the customs and traditions of the indigenous people during this time. They took frantic efforts to abolish these customs because they thought it was barbaric or uncouth. The chair, this in its natural state is a crime. How can you come to someone's home and determine how the person should live his or her life to the extent that they wanted to abolish their customs? The chair, traditional festivals, rites of passage, games were all distorted to follow an Eurocentric pattern. The chair, Vandana Shiva, an Indian scholar, popularly said, and I quote, colonialism is a form of cultural destruction and it destroys cultures today. Unquote. The chair, my opponent, do you go to someone's home to determine how the person should live his or her life? I leave it for you to answer. Do you still not accept the fact that colonialism was indeed a crime against humanity? Similarly, the chair in the house, colonialism led to violent oppression. Colonial powers subjected colonized people to harsh, inhuman justice. The chair, arms were amputated. Another evidence to show. The chair, in Congo, when people failed to obey the rules and laws of the colonial masters, their arms were amputated. The chair, people were treated like animals. People were treated very badly. Chains, they were always put in chains. The chair, this is a short video to show what I want to see.
The punishments for failing or resisting were horrific. Workers were beaten or whipped with a leather whip called a shikop, which would tear off their flesh and leave permanent scars.
The chair, this was what people in the during that era faced. They were always beaten and lashed. The chair, I would like to end by quoting one of the famous speeches by Martin Luther King Jr. on colonialism. And I quote, colonialism was a form of oppression, and oppression is always bad, unquote. This clearly affirms the fact that colonialism was indeed a crime against humanity. I am calling on all and sundry to rally with me that colonialism was indeed a crime against humanity. Thank you.
Thank you, Joy Naki Mabel. We shall listen to the principal speaker against the motion. Precious Osei Komwa Senior High. The stage is yours.
Ian Smith, the Australian television producer and screenwriter, once said, and I quote, "I would say colonialism was a wonderful thing. It spread civilization to Africa. Before it, they had no written language, no rules as we know, no schools, no hospitals, not even normal language. Mr. Chairman, impartial panel of judges, all protocols duly observed. My name is Jose Precious, Principal Speaker of Gumwa Senior High Technical School debate team, speaking vehemently against the motion that, quote and unquote, colonialism was a crime against humanity. After my delivery comes the first supporting speaker, then the last speaker to close our arguments against the motion. As and when needed, exhibits and evidence shall be tendered in to make our argument stronger. The chair, I crave your indulgence to explain the motion by throwing more light on two key concepts, namely colonialism and crime. The Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy defines colonialism as the practice of domination or control, which involves subjugation of one people to the other. Crime, on the other hand, can be defined from the legal standpoint as an act or omission that is prohibited by law and punishable by the state. Mr. Chairman, the motion essentially means that colonialism has brought negative consequences and thus must be seen as an offense against humanity and therefore punishable. Ladies and gentlemen, my team and I clearly want to disassociate ourselves from such a nebulous proposition and maintain our stance that colonialism cannot in any way be seen as an offense against humanity. Panel of judges, in my delivery, I would be expounding the following argument. 1. Colonialism instilled civilization to the colonized regions. 2. Colonialism brought infrastructural development to the colonized countries. 3. Colonialism promoted economic integration and global trade. 4. Colonialism brought modernization and technological transfer. Now, to my first argument. Colonialism extended civilization to the colonized regions. Mr. Chairman, history makes us understand that prior to the advent of colonialism, Africans were highly uncivilized, living in deep and thick forests at the mercy of the harsh weather conditions and wild animals. Majority of the African population had no decent shelter, no better food, no schools, no hospitals, not even normal clothing. Ladies and gentlemen, majority of the African population were so primitive and barbaric to the extent that our lives revolved around sacrilege cultural practices and beliefs. The chair, sacrilege cultural practices and beliefs such as human sacrifices, burying chiefs with human heads, establishments of witch camps, Shokosi system, and co-widow with rights, which violated and abused the rights of innocent human beings. The Ashanti Kingdom, for example, were very much associated to human sacrifices as gestures in remembrance of their ancestral spirits and to seek for protection against their enemies. Panel of judges, I tender in an exhibit. The chair, I dare to say that Africans were committing serious crimes against each other by these practices before the colonialists arrived. Colonialism changed the status quo and extended civilization to us. The colonialists sought to civilize the indigenous population by introducing formal education, better healthcare delivery system, clothing, etc. All these played a key role in the enlightenment of Africans and the abolition of inhuman cultural sacrifices. And nobody can say that such acts were crimes against humanity. Now, to my second argument. Colonialism brought infrastructure development to the colonized countries. The chair, I would say, without any fear of contradiction, that colonialism built majority of the infrastructure Africans have now. Panel of judges, I want to remind our confused opponents that colonialism, Sir Gordon Gshts alone, as the governor of the Gold Coast between 1919 to 1927, made significant contribution to the Ghana's infrastructure development. Gshts alone, as the governor of the Gold Coast, built over 600 miles of roads, including the construction of Accra to Kumasi Road. He overlaid the groundwork for the construction of the Akosombo Dam on the Volta region. He oversaw the construction of several healthcare facilities, including the Kolebu Teaching Hospital in Accra in 1923. Mr. Chairman, one notable project under his tenure in the area of education was the establishment of the Achimota School, which has produced hundreds of scholars for the country. Ladies and gentlemen, clearly colonialism laid the foundation for the development in colonized countries till today. Continue to enjoy and benefit these infrastructure monuments built by the colonial panel. This is a blessing, not a crime against humanity. Now, to my third argument, colonialism promoted economic integration and global trade. The chair, one of the most glorious impacts of colonialism on humanity was how colonialism integrated global economy, facilitating trade and economic exchange. The Portuguese colonial rule in Brazil, for instance, introduced cash crops such as sugarcane and coffee to the region, which became major exports, contributed to the global trade networks. The chair, through colonialism, colonized regions like Africa and America, which are rich in resources but hardly found any use for them, became connected to the European market, and trade links were built to facilitate international trade. This opened the colonized regions to investors and consequently for development. For example, through colonialism, Ghana, then known as the Gold Coast, became internationally recognized as a gold hub, and trade contests were established between the country and other European countries. Today, our country generates huge revenue from gold trade, which contributes significantly to the country's GDP. This is not a crime. Now, to my fourth argument, colonialism brought modernization and technological transfer. Mr. Chairman, particularly the colonized regions. The chair, in his book, How Europe Underdeveloped Africa, Walter Rodney argues that colonialism played a role in shaping Africa's economic and technological development. He emphasized how European colonizers introduced new technologies which helped to modernize the continent. Ladies and gentlemen, there is ample evidence to suggest that colonialism did have positive impact in modernizing Africans. The introduction of new technologies in Africa and healthcare improved living standards and opportunities. The chair, I rest my case.
Thank you very much. We shall listen to the supporting speakers. I want to remind the speakers, when you are bailed out, you just put the microphone down, you thank us and go. Please don't continue. It goes all of you. First supporting speaker for the motion, Apam Senior High.
The chair, panel of judges, all protocols duly observed. The bone of contention before this August houses, colonialism was a crime against humanity. I am in the person of Kwanzaa Nanea Lukman, a proud representative of Apam Senior High School, speaking as the first supporting speaker for the motion. The chair, before I begin, I'd like to clear some fallacious arguments my opponents made. My opponent came here stating that colonialism led to civilization in Africa. Have they forgotten of Egypt? Great Egypt. Buildings like the pyramid were built in Egypt. Are they telling me that uncivilized people could build the pyramid? Are they telling me that Mansa Musa, such a rich man, known as the richest man to ever live, was uncivilized or barbaric? No, they were not. They were actually more civilized. Egypt is still recognized as the first civilization in the world. And you tell me there was no civilization in Africa. Check your statistics. The chair, my opponent also came here saying that colonialism led to infrastructure development. Have they forgotten that every single hospital, every single healthcare facility that was built had a white man in mind? Even the 37 hospital was built to care for their war troop. This clearly shows that they built nothing for us, but for themselves. When they were leaving, they could not carry this. They could not carry it to England. They would have carried it along. So they left it here as hand-me-down, as home use for us to use it. This clearly shows that colonialism was a crime against humanity. If such deeds were perpetrated against us, and my opponents say colonialism was not a crime, then they should check their statistics well. I'd like to raise this point to buttress my stand that colonialism was, and will forever be a crime against humanity. Firstly, colonialism fostered a transatlantic slave trade, one of the most cruel and atrocious crimes committed on the face of this earth. It is sad to know that when you go to the same massive slave market down to Almina, our ancestors were packed and crammed in boats like sardines in the can, put in chains like animals. I turned this evidence in. Put in chains like animals and moved to their final destination, or in the name of someone's test for slaves. Men were killed, women were raped, children orphaned, or in the name of someone's test for slaves. And you call this a blessing? My opponent, do you really understand what a blessing is? On the United Nations website, it is recorded that 15 million people, I repeat, 15 million people were moved from Africa, especially West Africa, across the Atlantic Ocean. It is sad and sorrowful to note that 2 million died en route to their destination. Do my opponents know where their tombstone lies? No, they do not. They are forgotten in time, and they say this is a blessing. A blessing that killed 2 million people. A blessing that caused the loss of many lives, and they say this is a blessing, my opponent. The chair, the house. I plead with you to not heed my opponent and think that the colonizers perpetuated no crime. For the crime they perpetuated left a brutal and dark scar on the whole continent of Africa. Colonialism was a crime against humanity because it brainwashed the colonized. When the white man came to our land, they spoke about how they were better than us, how their ways were more scientific, more modernized, more civilized, and we should drop our ways. Africans lost who they were just because someone said it was more scientific. It is sad to know that even religion and faith that we believe in, even our hope for the afterlife, was used against us, a tool to control us. In King Leopold II of Belgium's letter to the English missionaries, he stated that they were not here to evangelize, but rather to ensure Belgium's interest, to ensure they were able to cheat us, to ensure that their deeds went unmarked. And my opponents come here stating that this is a blessing. To use someone's hope, someone's belief against them, and you call this a blessing. This is pure brainwashing and a crime against humanity. Lastly, colonialism was a crime against humanity because it fostered the idea of racism. Racism, as we all know it, began in the colonial time when our colonial masters deemed themselves as demigods, superior to us, told us that the whites were better than us, told us that their skin color was more better than us. They made us worship them, bow down to them, and they say this is a blessing. To call yourself superior to a human being, to deem yourself a god of another human being, and you say this is a blessing in disguise. The chair, panel of judges, distinguished guests, fellow debaters, all protocols duly observed. Now that I've been able to raise this strong argument against those fragile ones by my opponents, I strongly believe that the whole house is swallowing with me that colonialism was, and will forever be a crime against humanity. Thank you.
Thank you, Nanayao. A familiar face here. I can hear the applause. You see what these young ones are doing, and you think you don't have to clap. We shall listen to the supporting speaker against the motion. Gomwa Senior High, Fatwa. The stage is yours.
Mo Ibrahim, the famous Sudanese and British billionaire, once said, and I quote, "I do not subscribe to the narrative that Africa is backward because of colonialism," unquote. The chairperson, impartial jury, all protocols duly observed. My name is Fatwa, first supporting speaker of Gomwa Senior High Technical School debate team, speaking vehemently against the motion. I quote, "Colonialism was a crime against humanity," unquote. The chair, I strongly affirm all that my principal speaker had said, and I proceed by advancing new arguments. Panel of judges, in my delivery, I would be expounding the following arguments. 1. Colonialism promoted unity and solidarity among the colonized regions. 2. Colonialism promoted cultural exchange and interconnectivity. And 3. Colonialism brought formal education and literacy. Now, to our fifth argument, colonialism promoted unity and solidarity among the colonized regions. The chair, one inspiration we can draw from colonialism hinges on the formation of alliances and coalitions in the colonized regions that stood up against colonial power. The chair, as rightly noted by historian Mahmoud Mandani in his book, Citizen and Subject, Contemporary Africa and the Legacy of Colonialism. These resistance movements brought together people from different backgrounds in common struggle for independence. The House, colonialism gave rise to nationalist movements like the National Congress of British West Africa, West African Students' Union, and the Aborigines Rights Protection Society, which served as a formidable force to unite Africans in the fight against colonial aggression. The House, colonialism contributed to the development of Pan-Africanism, a movement that advocated for unity and solidarity among Africans across the continent and the diaspora. The chair, ladies and gentlemen, colonialism can never be considered as a crime against humanity, as it left a lasting legacy of unity and solidarity among Africans. The chair, now to our state arguments, colonialism promoted cultural exchange and interconnectivity. The House, it is an undeniable fact that colonialism facilitated the exchange of ideas, languages, customs, and traditions that enrich the cultural tapestry of both the colonizer and the colonized. The chair, colonialism brought new artistic influences and styles, inspiring local artists to experience with different techniques and themes. The House, through colonialism, new forms of music such as reggae, hip-hop, dancehall, etc. emerged. New food crops, cooking techniques, religious and culinary traditions were introduced. The chair, this has changed the social, economic, and religious well-being of Africans in particular. Ladies and gentlemen, colonialism has never changed the ladies and gentlemen, colonialism has not promoted impartial jury, colonialism. Ladies and gentlemen, colonialism can never be considered as a crime against humanity, as it left a lasting legacy. Ladies and gentlemen, colonialism can never be considered as a crime against humanity, as it left a lasting legacy of unity and solidarity among Africans. Now, to our final argument. Colonialism brought formal education and literacy to the colonized regions. The chair, I want to acknowledge our opponents that if they can read, write, and rattle all the big grammar on display today, or here today, all thanks to formal education, a chief byproduct of colonialism. The chair, colonial powers established schools and universities that offered education in subjects such as science, mathematics, and literature. This has helped to create a new generation of elite Africans capable of thinking, reasoning, and doing things by ourselves. The House, as rightly encapsulated by Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, and I quote, "The black man is capable of managing his own affairs." The chair, the House, based on the validity of our arguments, we have you on our side. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fatuad. We shall take the summarizers, Apam Senior High, to do their summary. With a round of applause.
The chair, panel of judges, distinguished guests, our great timekeeper, co-debaters, fellow students, ladies and gentlemen, greetings. The motion before this august house is colonialism was a crime against humanity. I, Philip Star Ifo Aframadazi, a proud representative of Apam Senior High School, stand as the second supporting speaker for the motion. The chair and the House, below are the cogent points raised and duly expatiated by my team. 1. colonialism led to systematic exploitation of resources of the colonized state. 2. Colonialism was akin to brainwashing. 3. Colonialism led to violent oppression of the colonized state. 4. Colonialism led to the transatlantic slave trade. 5. Colonialism led to division and ethnic tension. 6. Colonialism led to loss of identity and cultural heritage. 7. Colonialism led to disruption of societal norms. 8. Colonialism led to racism and white superiority. 9. Colonialism led to political instability in the colonized state. The chair and the house, I would like to read the vow made by the National House of Chiefs in the Maiden Manifest in the 1992. In the everlasting memory to the anguish of our ancestors, may those who died rest in peace. May those who return at least find their roots. May humanity never again perpetuate such injustice against humanity. We, the living, vow to uphold this. The chair and the house, let us rise and honor those who suffered, died, and toiled due to the crime of colonialism. Oh God. May their souls rest in peace. The chair, panel of judges, all protocols duly observed. With respect to my irrefutable points, I can see my discerning audience and my lane opponents nodding their head. They seem to side with me. I therefore call to the House with all respect to rally behind my team for the motion. Colonialism was a crime against humanity. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We shall now listen to the summarizer, Gomoa Senior High, Sheila Kokroko.
The chairperson, panel of judges, timekeeper, colleague debaters, fellow students, ladies and gentlemen. A beautiful presentation, they say, deserves a beautiful summary. That is why I, Sheila Kokroko, of Gomoa Senior High Technical School Debating, mount this stage to close our arguments against the motion. Panel of judges, these are the points we have raised. 1. Colonialism extended civilization to humanity, particularly Africans, who until then lived in an uncivilized, primitive and barbaric cultures. 2. Colonialism resulted in most of the infrastructural monuments that we all are enjoying today. 3. Colonialism promoted economic integration and enhanced global trade. 4. Colonialism brought modernization and technological transfer. 5. Colonialism promoted unity and solidarity among colonized countries to fight a common struggle. 6. Colonialism resulted in cultural exchange and interconnectivity. 7. Colonialism brought formal education and promoted literacy. The chair, our opponent said that colonialism led to human rights violations and abuse. I disagree with them on that score. I want our opponent to know that Africans in particularly has been subjecting ourselves to violation and abuses long before the colonialists arrived. This was especially seen in inhuman practices like human sacrifice, cruel widowhood rights, and trocosi system. So I want our opponent to come again. The chair, ladies and gentlemen, Joseph Joubert once said, it is better to debate a question without settling it than to settle a question without debating it. With no doubt, I will return to my seat with high assurance that this motion has been debated and settled. These statements of Bob Marley keeps ringing in my head. Quote, who the crown fits, let them wear it, unquote. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. All too soon, the contest is over. I would like to invite the other 3 contestants. Come with your chair and sit with your colleagues as the judges put together the marks. Let's clap for them as they come. Then, as we wait for the judges to put the scores together, we shall take a brief comments. We shall take brief comments from the high table. I think because of time, we will let the chairman speak as he waits for the judges. Then he can add that later. Okay, so chairman will speak.
Hello? Hello? Yes, they were exercising how intellectually they can argue certain point out on the motion that has been severally made known to us that colonialism was a crime against humanity. I think some of us do have some issues to talk about, but because of a reason or two, I think we need to put them aside. Can we give it to the contestants once again? They have really done well. And I also believe that we being the audience, we have learned a lot from the debate that just happened or occurred. I would like to thank the adjudicators, the timekeeper, the teachers present, the students, and everyone that is present here to help to let this exercise come true. We say thank you to all of you. It's a very great honor to also have this platform to exercise on intellectual grounds. Just as I indicated earlier on, we have something to say, but I think we need to end here to make way for our brothers and sisters who came from APAM to help us achieve this. May God bless us all. Amen.
We shall take a quick one from the judges. They are not ready, but as we still wait for them, let me remind you that we are still in the SRC week celebration mood. Today is day one. We've had the marathon, we've had the talk on the theme, and the debate contest just ended. This evening there will be the movie night, and we can assure you we're going to give you some wonderful movies. God willing, tomorrow we shall continue day 2. First thing in the morning, we shall have the face painting. After the face painting, we shall go for the mega float. And like I've told you, you know what to wear for the float. You know what to wear for the float. So you take note, after the float, we shall have I'm still reminding you, the face painting is coming up, the float is coming up, but as usual, you know, 6:30. You know 6:30, right? All right, don't miss. If you don't come for intervention tomorrow, 6:30, no float. Yes, and when we are back from the float, we shall have the various variety show, inter-house base. Then on Friday, we shall have the drama and sketch competition. Then in the evening, we shall have the gospel rock show. On Saturday, we shall have the crowning of Miss HTS. We wish our brothers and sisters from our past can join us on Saturday. You are invited. Dope Nation is rapping live here. I'm telling you on Saturday. All right. So I'm still waiting for the judges. DJ, as we wait for the judges, do you have any challenger here? Any dancer here? Let me see one person. One person come. Mr. Deke is coming. DJ, let the music flow.
Please, the APAM Senior High, we thank you so very much for coming to celebrate this occasion with us. I will plead that you get up and then you walk into your bus as you prepare to go. The APAM Senior High student, please walk into your bus as we prepare to go. Definitely you hear the results. We are yet to declare the results. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so the results is almost ready. Do we have the individual awards ready? Do you have the individual awards? Do you have the individual awards? The judges are to give us the best principal speaker, the best supporting speaker, and the best summarizer before the overall winner. We have beautiful medals for those individual awards. I think I have them here. Do we have them? Do we have them as you continue with your tabulations quickly? Do we have that? Can we declare that? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, for the best principal speaker, award, and I will invite the teacher from APAM, Mr. Prince, to come and do that presentation with the medal. Please come, Sir Prince, come. Sir Prince, you have one medal. The judges, putting their heads together, declared the principal speaker, Osei Precious Gomwa Senior High, as our best principal speaker for today. They declared her the best principal speaker. You received your award. Let's applaud her. Well done. You take your medal. You take your medal. Well done, principal speaker. Thank you so much. Stand here for me. For the best supporting speaker, the judges decided on Francisca Gorman, APAM Senior High. I invite the Assistant Headmaster Academics, Gomwa Senior High, to do that presentation for us. Frances Gorman, the best supporting speaker. Wow. You stand here for me. Then the best summarizer, the judges decided on Philista as a best summarizer. And to do that, I invite the chairman to do that for me. Chairman, do that presentation for me. Please go for your medal. Come and stand here for me. Philista here for me. So, ladies and gentlemen, these are our best speakers for today. The principal speaker goes to Precious Osei Gomwa Senior High. Supporting speaker goes to Frances, APAM Senior High. And summarizer goes to Philista, APAM Senior High. Now, thank you very much. You can resume your seats.
All right. Thank you very much. I think because of time, we'll be very snappy. Now, for the contest, I think we have two contests. And this is the total score from all three judges. For GSTS, Judge 1 scored 120. Judge 2 scored 123. Judge 3 scored 124. For the second, Judge 1 scored 138, 133, 135. So in all, for the two contests and the three judges, Gomwa Senior Technical School had 126 points. APAS had 128 points. So the winner is Great APAS. Thank you very much. Now to add, since it was two contests, Gomwa Senior High School, per the score sheet, won the second contest, and APAM won the first contest. But in all, APAM Senior High School came superior.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So, I'm very happy for APAM Senior High School. Whatever they've gone to, I invite the chairman to come and do the presentation for us. The chairman, wow. So the chairman will do that presentation. So, APAM Senior High School, on the occasion of our 2024 Gshts Src celebration, we are happy you came to join us, and we are happy to give you this trophy as winners of the grand debate contest. Thank you very much, APAM. We thank you so much for coming. We thank you so much for coming. We wish you a safe journey back to APAM. Thank you. This evening we continue with the movie night. Apam, please. Apam Senior High. Please, you have Apam. Apam Senior High. Apam Senior High. Please, you have this. Apam, please. Please come and receive this for us. It's for you as well. Thank you very much. Gomwa reps, please. Gshts Src reps, please come and receive this for us, please. Please come and receive this for us, please. You should be happy for your sisters. We invited them. We are happy. The last time they invited you, went to beat them. They have come to beat you and you are not happy. We are happy for them. Thank you very much. You can take pictures together. Yes. So we thank all of you. We are going for supper. After supper, we shall come back here to continue. We thank the chairman, Mr. Amponsa. We thank all the teachers who came here, and God bless you. DJ, the floor is yours.
Don't play this.
Let me see the pedumo. Me say super siko. If I go and I don't make a wait, I go tell my mother. Money if I call you. Money if I call you. My way. Money if I call you. Money. I'm sure. Come on, my me feel the chili pan, I'm a batty mint to me go. Let me see my comedy. More plans day for me. If I'm in a me, I'm a my didi, now she me tree. Send down your face, 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 send down your face. Me feel me chrome bank crying. Now me homo bro, now me life net time. And you me fuck up in ya. Drip, drip. I bet me fuck up in ya. No more, keep up, can't stop. Singer, yeah, bad man, killer. Some move, some rapper, some sip liquor. Move, you whip, keep up, get dance, drop, quicker. Make a dance couple times, then I take my picture. I bet me fuck up in ya. I know feel live without you. Yeah, so me no okay. And I go pull up on you wherever you get. I go down. I know feel live without you. Be like she give me codeine. Cause it just